Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world.
The goal of education is advancement of knowledge and the dissemination of truth.
Now, we would like to welcome the dignitaries of our today's event, Mr. Vijay Sricharan, the Business Director Development Manager, Mr. Marvin, and Mr. Sriram. We welcome you all.
And here are few about Mr. Vijay Sricharan. He is a graduate in psychology, a registered member at the American Collectors Association, and a certified healthcare collector from MD-HPA, United States. Having widely traveled across the globe, he has been exposed to various nationalities and their cultures.
He brings over more than 7 years of practical experience in diverse fields. His career started in the business process outsourcing and later moved into healthcare revenue cycle management with elite firms such as Accenture Credit Services, Tata Consultancy Services, and the Legal Doc LLC for an international transition project to United States.
He has trained corporate employees on soft skills, negotiation, conflict resolution, and conducted workshops at various locations. He has currently heads the business development team for the state of Tamil Nadu at Manya Education Private Limited, Indian partner of the Princeton Review.
Now, I call upon our chief guest, Mr. Vijay Sricharan, to deliver a few words.
I think it was just about 2 weeks ago that I addressed another seminar for the other college. But good to see you all. So I think you all got my name. We represent a company called Princeton Review, Manya abroad. I've got my energy levels a little low today. Number one is because I've not had my breakfast. Number two is because I've stayed awake yesterday, and it was one night where I stay awake. So I don't know. Do you know what yesterday was? What was it? Oh yeah. So I stayed awake. So I did not sleep all the way. So I traveled all the way from Coimbatore to Chennai, and then I had a lot here. So I will somehow manage to keep my energy up. If you all agree on one fact, that is, I'm highly cognizant of the fact that any meaningful conversation is always a two-way communication, which means it cannot be a monologue. It should be a dialogue, which means you should not be just staring at me, looking at me, not talking, and I do all the talking. So I don't want to do the talking, I want you to talk as well. So is there a fair expectation? Yeah? I don't think that we are in talking terms yet. Is it a fair expectation? Yes. Yes? So how many of you had pongal and vada in the morning? Pongal and vada. That's your favorite food, right? How many of you had that? So what do you had in the morning? We all had different foods. But none of you had pongal and vada, right? No? Sure? Because I consider pongal and vada as a sleeping dose. So if you had one, then probably you have to refresh yourself with a caffeine or something of that. Right. So what the college authorities have done is they have somehow filtered you all. They say that you guys are interested in higher education, furthering your education, maybe in India, maybe not in India. That's a part which has to be discussed. But for now, are you the bunch who are looking at studying ahead? Yeah? Well, I don't think so. Because whenever the seminars used to be connected at my campus in Delhi Public School, I was just there just to bunk my classes. There will be definitely 20 to 30% of you who would have probably come here to bunk your classes. Yes? That's a very good thing. Because I was one among them. So, whatever you think of, I was the outstanding student in my class. Remember what I'm trying to say? I was the outstanding student. And I say the outstanding student, not in the academics part, but always outstanding. Do you understand? Right. So now let me just do a small thing here before we get on to the presentation. I want you to understand that whatever we're going to discuss today will definitely be touching the points in terms of what will be your future health potential and future wealth potential. Yeah, those are the ones that we will be touching on. We will We will also be touching on points where how the education system is currently preparing in India, what are the things which are required, the prerequisites, the criteria which are required for you to get abroad or in India, and how can you advance your career. But before we get on and we touch all these points, let me first honestly ask all of you, you've already done probably about 12 years of your education. I hope that you've not faked your certificates to be here. All of you have your original certificates, right? You've completed your 12 years of education, and there's going to be 4 more years. I think a few of you are sitting in your second and a few of you are sitting at your third. So 16 years of your regular education is going to be over by the time that you complete your 4th year, which means that you still have a few of your time with you so that you can work upon yourself. But how many of you really feel, really from your bottom of your heart feel that even after the 16 years, that I still want to continue my education? I'm done with my 12 years, I still have 4 more years to go, and then 16 years, and then still I want to continue education. Anyone here? Really? Honestly? I asked you a question. I did not ask you to chit-chat between yourself, but the hands were about 20% of the entire crowd here. So, okay, that's a fair expectation. That's what I expected. Let me go a little further. Let me ask you this question. How many of you are looking at a placement letter? I mean, looking at an offer letter by the time you complete your PE or your BTech, whatever it is. How many of you are expecting an offer letter? Let me see the hands. Let me see the hands. One, she's honest. What's her name? Supriya is honest, so let's give her one round of applause. Anybody else? Very good, Mike. Very good, Mike. Anybody else? Anybody else? What's your name? Okay, Masumeta, she's also honest. Please give her one round of applause. Your name, right? Okay, no problem. I don't want to. Better not to. Yes, better not to deal with the names, So I had, my sister lives in Germany, so I always keep a note of her, whatever she does. So she uses Facebook, and that's one tool that you can get to know how your sister is doing now. So I used to always see her recent activity. And the recent friend that she's got was Juan Henorio. I called her up and I said, "What? Have you got a boyfriend?" And she says, "No, Juan is a lady." So you can't deal with names. Anybody else? Anybody else looking at a placement letter, an offer letter? 3.5 lakh or 4.5 lakh, CEC? Nobody? You all want to study abroad or maybe study here in India? Okay. So we've still not done the talking terms yet, so let me do this. We're going to do a small exercise. Okay? We're going to do a small exercise, and this is about your life and not definitely to deal with your academics. So the first thing is, this is going to be highly serious, highly serious, so you can't even laugh. Alright? So the first thing is you'll have to get up. All of you. Yeah. It's been 16 years. It's been 16 years since you actually done this, maybe 15 years for a few of you. But 16 to 15 years is what the term that we're looking at. So I don't know if you know this. How many of you studied in CBSE? CBSE, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. How many of you studied in metric? Okay. How many of you studied in state board? Right, that's a good number. And how many of you studied ABCD? Right? Okay, we got it. So you all studied ABCD? Yes. What we're going to do is we're going to find out who faked your certificates. Now, so we're going to check all of you in terms of the ABCD that you've learned, but not just with ABCD. There's a rhythm to the ABCD, right? The CBSE guys, you got the rhythm? Yeah? Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, we continue until you can. Yeah. We are going to do the ABCD, but I want you with the rhythm. with the rhythm. I will come there close to you so you can't make any murmurs. And I will catch all of the people who are going to make murmurs and echoing part, and they will come here and do the ABCD right in front of all of them. So I will come there. Don't worry about that. I will take care of that part. But I want you all to do ABCD with the rhythm on my set. Okay? Let's do A. So I'm talking about with the rhythm. You can start. Okay. Now let's do it. Now let's do ABCD with the rhythm. Girls, you'll have to start because these guys are very bad. When I say ABCD, let's do ABCD with the rhythm. On my set, you know the rhythm, right? You all know the rhythm? Yes or no? Okay. Let's do it now. A. Let's do with the rhythm. Yeah. A. Let's do it. A. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Hey, what's his name? Please sit down. Please sit down. Sorry? Again, I'm not going to mess with the names. Whatever your name is, please come here, sir. Let's give him one round of applause. Quickly. We got to wait for you. Real quick. I want him here. Quick. Can I have you here? Yes. Please come. Please come. I'm not going to. Don't worry. Quickly. Yeah. Okay. Alright. So what he's going to do is, he is going to do the most important piece. You all did ABCD, but don't think that you all did just because I wanted you to pep up your energy. That was not it. There was a reason to it. There was a very intricate reason to it. You will get to know once we start about it. But before we go on, I want you to introduce your name first, and then he will do Z to A. Not A to B. Z to A. With the rhythm. First introduce yourself. Hold on guys, hold on. Once you're chatting right now, you will be next year.
I'm Veerapanjan from civil second year.
Let's do A to Z. Yeah. Let's do it. Come on. Quickly, we don't have time. Okay, fine. Don't chat. Okay. So it's not just him. Is there anybody here who can do Z to A with the rhythm? Any one of you? With the rhythm. With the rhythm. You were taught with the rhythm. A to Z was taught to you with the rhythm. Z to A with the rhythm. Anybody? Right. Can any one of you tell me the reason why you're not able to do Z to A with the rhythm? Sorry? Not really. Even ABCD is not order. You feel it's not, that's why you put it in that way. If somebody would have taught you 97, 98, 100, you would have said 97, 98, 100. Yes or no? Similarly, it was taught to you this way. Anybody else can just think on these lines? Anybody? Yeah, very good. Who's that? What's your name? Yeah, I got the name right. So can we give one round of applause to Govind? No, it's nothing to laugh. You didn't have the guts to answer. She answered it. The applause is only for that. There's nothing to laugh at all. I can see a lot of faces laughing and all that. But the most important piece that you all have to understand is you are doing this every day. That's not a problem for me, it's a problem for you. Because every day, day in and day out, you come here, sit in your classroom, whatever your timing is, maybe it's 8 to 3 or 8:30 to 4:30, but all you do is just you sit like this. And everything that is being taught to you, everything that is being told to you is from the person who's standing here. Maybe he or she is your professor, but the energy, the involvement, the knowledge transfer happens from here. What goes there is not something which you can really, express, manifest to all of us. Let me just look into it. How many of you know Bengali here? Bengali? Nobody? Okay. How many of you know Gujarati? Nobody? How many of you know Telugu? Wow, it's an engineering college, you have to be here. How many of you know Tamil? How many of you know Malayalam? One guy, two, okay. Right, so I'm going to talk in Tulu. Is there anyone who knows Tulu? Yeah, anybody here? Okay, I'm going to say something in French. How many of you know French? It's a complicated French word. Sula bula bamba. Do you know what Sula bula bamba is? Definitely not a movie. Okay, enough. The joke is already over. You're still laughing for it. Now let's go ahead. What I'm trying to express to all of you is the language is the means of communication. If you know the language, you will get it. If you don't know the language, then you will not get it. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah? So the first thing that we did is we tried ABC. And let me do it with every one of you, but still I will tell you, nobody would have gotten Z to A with the rhythm. Yes or no? Yeah? The reason, as she said, and many of you agree, and if you don't agree, it's okay. If you agree or not agree, the truth is, the blunt truth is, it was taught to you that way. They trained you that way. It was thrust upon you that way. And you can only look at it that way. Nobody even tried Z to A with the rhythm. But if you'd have tried, if you would have practiced, don't you think it's possible? Yes or no? Yes. So the problem is, the education part, the piece in India, was left by the Brit. Okay? And the Brit had taught certain things. You would have definitely not heard about, you would have heard about many things that India was lost, Kohinoor, so on and so forth. The history was made up in that way. You were never taught about the culture that is here. What we've done, we went to Cambodia. There's a Sun Temple in Cambodia. Do you know about that? Do you know about what this king called Chola had done, the dynasty Chola had done? They've explored just think about it. Just consciously think about what's happened in India. There's no aircraft, there's no ship, there's no big, there's not even big data to communicate with the other continent. These guys explored each and every continent. There's no place on earth that has an Indian, a Chola has not lived. But the history doesn't speak that way. Yes or no? Maybe a little bit of it because they are not able to do the grey shading of it, but it was overshadowed. They did not communicate to you the way it was. Yes or no? Just go to any temple in the market. I mean, just go anywhere in Tamil Nadu and just see so many big rocks. How did they even do it? What was the intensity of the person who would have done it? Yes or no? You go to a big church in Goa and just look at the church. How was it built? Not even one earth-moving equipment. There's no bulldozers. There's nothing at all. It was just the sheer intensity that you are doing something. And I would just want to connect your dots with this. How many of you have looked at Steve Jobs? You know this guy, Steve Jobs? Yeah. So you all have these fancy T-shirts. The youngsters are more craving towards these T-shirts. It says big fancy words, and few of them even have Che Guevara. If you read up about Che Guevara, then you will not have Che Guevara's T-shirt. That's a debatable part. But if you know Steve Jobs, how many of you have watched Steve Jobs' commencement speech, which happened in 2005, and he addressed to Stanford when he was alive? 2005, Stanford commencement speech. Anybody here? Anybody? One person? Steve Jobs commencement speech 2005 at Stanford? Yes or no? No one? None of you? But you all have time for Siricha Poche on YouTube. What? I said about Siricha Poche on YouTube. We did a small survey with Google Analytics and we found many of the youngsters go to YouTube for Siricha Poche. None of you have watched this video? Not even one? Not even one, because I had many hands there when I did the seminar there. I found out that at least 2 to 3 of them who were interested in this part. Not even one here? Okay, how many of you know what Steve Jobs told? Can anyone say what Steve Jobs told in his seminar when he... Exactly. Can I have your name? Sorry? Okay, I got this name right. Her name is Gino. Please give her one round of applause. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over this microphone to her. So let me hear and let you all hear as to what Steve Jobs said.
I don't exactly remember what he said, but he said something about connecting the dots.
Okay.
It seems he left his college during the first few parts, and then he went to calligraphy. He didn't know why he was going exactly, but he just did it out of interest. And finally, after all his hard work, he started doing his Apple company, and then he invented this first Mac.
You watched the video.
I don't remember exactly.
You watched it, right? That's the only thing I was expecting, because there is no place in the colleges that I've been. There's not even. I've always seen this. Okay, I've always seen this. I've been doing seminars across IIT, all the other colleges which I don't want to name off in the city. I've always seen this, that the crowd is about 100, 150, and there's roughly about 1 or 2 of them who would raise their hands partially and then completely, and they'll say, I've watched this, I've done this. So I was expecting that one number, and somehow she's agreed to that. There will be 1 or 2 of them who would say, yeah, I've looked at that video. I still can remember that. And good that we've got one here who had looked at that video. So yes, I agree with what she said. So Steve Jobs was not the regular guy, he was the irregular guy. He's that guy who was not happy sitting in the class every day and listening to something which did not make any sense to him at all. At all. So he invested his time. He was a school dropout, by the way, and then he somehow gotten to the college level. And what he did is every day in and day out, he used to go and learn typography. So the first thing that he did was he learned something which was very futuristic. At that time, we did not even have QWERTY keypads. So he learns typography because he thought that's how the world is going to communicate with each other. And each and everyone they need typography. So he learns that. And then he came up with a lot of stuff. He used to struggle for food. That was the time he said, stay hungry and stay foolish. That's something which he said. You can see it in the coffee mugs, in the t-shirts. Everybody wears it now. But the most important thing that he said is, you are staying hungry. That means that literally staying hungry every day. Don't eat what are those. That's not the synonymous meaning of it. What he was trying to express to all of you is, stay hungry means stay hungry for the knowledge that you want to get. The practical knowledge that you should be possessing. And stay foolish is being always crazy, doing things which is not in the regular way. So that's the meaning of it. And the most important thing that she said, and the most important takeaway for me and for all of you is that he did not look at life the way it was taught to him. He explored. He said, in life, you cannot connect your dots looking forward. And you can only connect it looking backwards. Did he say this? I'm asking you, did he say this? No, they don't know the answer. Yes? She's agreeing with me. So you can go on YouTube and you can check it out live. He said this, and he said this, you can't connect your dots looking forward. When you talk about studying abroad, when you're talking about educating yourself ahead, the most important thing is connecting your dots looking backwards. The reason that we did this small exercise, and you all were so happy doing A, B, C, D to Z, is also to help you understand that you all have been trained and thrust upon that you can only connect your dots looking forward. There is always a way to connect it backwards, and we've not looked at that aspect. Able to understand now? Yeah? So now let's go ahead and further and see how is it going to go. All right? Okay? I was just, I'm an avid reader, I'm an avid browser. So I was just looking at a web and I somehow got to know this one. So, not because somebody is saying, not because somebody is influencing you, but you ask this question to yourself. Read that on the slide, you ask this question to yourself, and then you tell me, are you a part of it, are you against it? If you are a part of it, then I would want you to honestly accept it, genuinely if you feel it, not because I'm asking you. If you genuinely feel that's the way it is, then you can raise your hand. If not, then you can just not do anything at all, right? Let me see the hands now. Hey, don't do this one, yeah? Well, is she taking the hand? Well, is he taking the hand? Let me also take it. That's not what I want. All I want is you. Are you the one or not? Are you the victim of crime or not? That's all. Let me see the hands. Real quick, we don't have time. That's not rocket science. You're going to either say yes or no. Do you want the question? So what? What read? Okay, let me see the hands now. You all read that? Okay, let me see the hands really, honestly. Okay. I still feel the honesty level is very low. I can't expect honesty anymore. I know the fact and figures, don't worry about it. Because in my family, we have 4 engineers and I was the odd one out, so I know that. Anyway, because you're not accepting it, that's okay. But there's still this category of people who are not even saying yes or no. And I feel they are still victims. Because they're not clearly defining their goals. So let's go ahead a little bit further and see what are we going to look at. Alright, just want you there. Okay, so before I get it on, so working. Okay, thank you. So this is something which is for your information. So I'm not just pinching your egos without any data. I have the data with me, and the data is the article which was published in Times of India. It talks about 3.5 million. Even China doesn't have 3.5 million student population. In India, 3.5 million. What best Indians have done? Now you can understand. You go out, all your adults, you're all civilized people, you should understand this part very clearly. Indians is messed in India very badly in terms of population and pollution. Very badly. Like the planet of the apes, we are becoming. Yes or no? We're not civilized. We have to be civilized in this one aspect. So what is going to happen is, there's going to be a workforce crisis, a global workforce crisis, which is happening at 2027 to 2038. So this 9-10 years, we will have jobs required, highly skilled jobs required in certain countries, and those countries have a shortage, a labor shortage. They don't have those skills there. So let me just give you an example. I was there at San Clemente. I was there at Warren, Michigan, and I looked at the US culture. How do they operate? The first time I went there was 1997. So those days, I was not paying with a debit or a credit card. You know, I did not even have a card. So I was paying on checks and cash, and that's how I used to get paid. I'm talking about 1997. So the first time I went to US, I was there for a conclave, and I was there for about 7 to 18 days. I had to stay there, so I was flying around with Michigan and San Clemente. The first thing that I noticed is, I went to a shop because I was really feeling hungry. I'm a veggie by nature. So I went to a shop, it's called Dunkin' Donuts. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I asked him, I need a veg burger. And he gave me a veg burger. I was about to pay him, I gave him cash. And he told me, we don't accept cash. You have a card? I gave him my card. But all the cards that I had was my business card. But he laughed at me. He said, I'm asking you a credit card. And he said, in India, at that point of time, they did not even know what a credit card was. There was only 20% who were using American Express and HSBC. And majority of even the corporate, we talk about any of those big names, they're still using checks. They had a salary account, that's a different thing, but they still were dealing with checks and the liquid cash. In India, we feel that you have money, it means you have the solid rupee notes. In there, the credibility matters. It means how much money you have in debt. That matters. Able to understand? It's a small change, but it makes all the difference. So, we know that there was a recession which happened in 2008, and that recession was about people not making their payments back. So I'll give you a small example. In India, let's say I get on a fight with this buddy. What's your name?
Ishwar. He's so good in expressing his name because I don't make a mistake of it. Ishwar
Prasad.
Okay,
So we took get on a quarrel, and I injured his small finger. Okay, right now. Okay, I injured his small finger, right? And then the blood starts coming out of it. So ideally, what he should do, as an Indian. Sorry? First thing is he might wash his hand. Few of them will also keep their thumb in their mouth. Yes or no? That's the antiseptic that we use. Maybe you will put him on to the professor, and the professor will help him with the first aid kit, which is with the Dettol and a small plaster. And say, okay, all okay, you go back to the class now. Yes or no? Yeah? Let's see if this guy is an American. And I somehow punched him, and this small finger has gotten with an injury. You know what will happen? He will call 911. And there's an ambulance, and he will be taken to the hospital. There's a law called EMTALA, Emergency Medical Attention Treatment Labor Act. It says you even have a small injury and you come to the casualty and you come to the emergency, you have to be treated. So he will be taken inside, a full diagnosis. A full diagnosis. He will be given the first aid, but he will be taken for BP, sugar, this and that. And think about this. He don't even have to shell out $1. Because this guy will have 3 insurance. 3, maybe 5 also. Everyone will have a primary insurance. He will have a public aid or a Medicaid. The secondary insurance, which will be Blue Cross Blue Shield. He will have an Aetna and 3, 4 insurance. And the most important part is he would have not even paid his insurance money, the deductible. That's America for you. Able to understand now? Now let me go a little further. The same guy has gone into the hospital. He's got say about $1,000 of debt in his medical debt, right? Now this guy does not have a job. He's lethargic. Ishwar is lethargic. Okay, so he is in when you want to live in the US. Okay, let me go with this list. So he's in San Francisco, and in San Francisco, this guy sits every day. He doesn't work. He is an American citizen. On the 3rd of each month, he will get his unemployment benefit. $300 to $600, depending on the state and the country. Money directly goes into his bank. Now you tell me, does he have to work? Tell me, does he have to work? And apart from the money that he's getting, he will also get food stamps. Which means he can take these food stamps, go to the shop, and say, I want food, and they will give him food. And he will get a public transportation pass, and he can just go around wherever he wants, if it's connected. Now, is there a requirement for Ishwar to work? Yes or no? Yeah. And that's why they have a skill shortage. Because what they are coming up is a lethargic society. I'm not trying to bias the entire US. There are states, there are state laws and federal regulations which help to counteract, which helps to bring down the increasing trend of people not working and studying. There is a system in place, and there are highly intellectual Greeks who study in these schools. They come out, they're very good. In terms of organizing, America is really good. They organize things, they ensure that business works, all that is fine. But there is a skill shortage. When I say skill shortage, I want you, if you have a piece of pen and paper handy, I want you to take down this name. His name is Rainer Strack. R-A-I-N-E-R, Strack. S-P-R-A-C-K. So this guy, Rainer Strack, is a human resources specialist. He is a German by nature. And he spoke about how is it going to be in 2013, which countries would require skill, and where is a scarcity. Okay? Got the name? Now let's go ahead. So what we will touch is those points as to how your life will be if you take a small step which you've not taken till there. First thing is we will just go and look at it. Okay, I'm going to do a real-time example. Okay, I want some volunteers. Let me come there to the mechanical students. I like the mechanical. Yeah. What's your name? Sorry? Okay, Rajan. Where are you from? He's from Pudukkottai, okay? Where are you from? Minjur. Okay. How far is Minjur from Pudukkottai? And what's your name? Karthik. Okay, Karthik is from Minjur. Rajaraman is from Pudukkottai. What is his name? Vignesh. Where are you from? Krishnagiri. Okay. Krishnagiri, Pudukkottai and Minjur. How far is the radius? Maybe 600 kilometers at the max? Max? 400 to 600, yeah? Yes or no? Thank you. Now let's look at it. So this guy, Rajaraman, do you know this place called NUS? What is NUS? No, Lumburu, what is NUS? Sorry, one more time please. How come only one person knows and the other person is staring? Oh, what is she saying? Okay, that is National University of Singapore. And it's the best place for any of the female applicants to dream of because the international acceptance rate is 18.92% and most of it are comedians. Okay, now let's look at an example. This Rajaraman, let's look at him. If it is the same case in NUS, how will it be? This guy, okay, his name is not anymore Rajaraman. So this is NUS for you, a live example. So Rajaraman is sitting in Veltech now, but let's assume that it's the same classroom size and three of them are sitting in NUS. The first guy will be a Chinese Canadian. His name would be Sam Firoz. The second guy would be a Nigerian. The third guy would be an Indian because he's wearing specs. And the fourth guy would be from Latin America. And there comes a Pakistani. And then comes a South African. And then comes a Sinhalese girl from Sri Lanka. You're not a girl, by the way. Just look at it. This is the classroom in NUS. And you know what? They don't have to sit in the classroom every day. They don't have to sit from morning to evening every day. All they have to do is they will have to get their practical credits. So when you apply for any international university, the first thing that you have to understand is there is something called as research-based methodology and a course-based methodology, CBR and RBR. You will have to fill up your application in such a way that you will select a research-based methodology, which means you will not have to sit in your class on a daily basis. You will have to get 120 to 180 practical credits to sit in the classroom. So sitting in the classroom means, wow, I have got an opportunity. Now you don't know the value because you're seeing every day, oh, this period has come. If you know the value of sitting in a theory class, then you will understand. Meeting with the professor is a big thing. Doubt clarification sessions happen only once in a month. So you'll have to email him and book your slot. And everything that you do is with your lab. Everything that you do is in your practical training. Everything that you learn is through practical experience. Now let me ask you a small example. How many of you done a paper presentation? A paper presentation. Okay, I expected this. Okay, 1, 2. How many of you have done on-the-job training? Practical internship in any company? Right? So tomorrow, even if you don't want to study, if you want to get onto a job and hop onto any brands that you look at, CTS, PCS, Ashok Leyland, Biomedical, I don't know. Okay, maybe Ranbaxy, let's just name it. Whatever company that you want to go for, the first thing that they will look at you is, what have you done apart from your academics? They don't care about your CGPA, that's all secondary. The first thing that they will look into you is, how are you as a person? What is your strengths? What is your interpersonal skills? What have you done apart from your studies? These are the lines they will touch on. Yes or no? You all agree? Yeah? So the most important thing that you all have to understand is these are the only things which will help you for your study abroad as well. They don't care much about your academics. There are only few universities which concentrates more in terms of your academics, and you have to understand there is something called as public universities and private universities. Public universities are those universities which are funded by the federal government, whether it's US, Canada, Singapore. And private universities are universities which will cost you much higher. Your out-of-pocket expenditure will be a little higher, but at the same time, delivery and the quality that you will get in turn is also higher. Able to understand? So you need to differentiate these two first. Let's just go ahead. Let's just look at what all the things that you will get there. These are small examples. When I say freaking awesome food, let me ask you a question here. How many clubs do you have in your college here? Clubs. You don't have a club? Not even one? Oh, they've got a Mozilla Firefox club. I heard that, okay. Any other club? Okay, let's just take a small example because we've already taken NUS. Let's just do NUS again. NUS has 462 clubs. Let me give you an example. When I talk about freaking awesome food, I just got to know they have a club called Sushi Club. Sushi. See, I'm a veggie by nature. I don't know much about the non-vegetarian food, but I just got to know that sushi is a Japanese fish food. So 10 of them get together and they make sushi on every Friday, and that is a club called Sushi Club. Just making sushi. There is Industry Interface Club. You know, placements doesn't happen the way it happens here. Okay, I'm getting a lot of noise there. I don't want to pinpoint them. Yeah. Can I have your attention, please? And I understand that whatever I'm speaking is Latin and Greek for you, but I still expect you to listen to it. Maybe you will get to know. But yeah, what I'm trying to connect you is this. They do not sit on the class on a daily basis. What they do is they talk to these people. Like when I talked about Industry Interface Club, people like Silicon Valley people. You talk about Google, you talk about Sun Microsystems, you talk about any big company, they come to the campus. They interact with them. So placements, unlike in India, happens there through networking. You know what networking means? It's not like computer networking. The meaning is all the same. Networking means you communicate with them. You talk to them. You get to know them, their business. You get to train with them on their campus. And that's how you get a job in their campus. It doesn't work the way it works in India. How it works in India is one day alone, I'm talking about all the gentlemen here. What you do is, on that one day, placement day, you will wear a tie, all the cufflinks and all that. You will line up like you're going into a prison, and then you go and take your interview. Yes or no? It happens. I've seen this across the colleges. But there it doesn't work like that. You don't even have an interview. All that you will have is you'll have to interact with them. They'll have to know you. They will study you for 6 to 8 months. They will look at you, your behavior at college, what have you contributed for the college, all these things, and they will take you. They will just waiting for you to come out. Those are the companies which we are talking about. Okay, is there any biomedical, bioengineering students here? Okay. Makes a lot of sense for you to sit here because your future is there. Anybody from ECE? E&I? IT? CS? Okay, the question is for IT and CS guys. Okay, mechanical, don't worry, I'm coming to you. There's a lot to discuss. IT and CS. Can you tell me what is the highest paid job across the world? Highest paid job. Highest paid job. This job was not there in 2008, but now it's there. Highest paid job. Okay, let me tell you. The highest paid job all over the world right now for IT, CS, EEE, and E&I is Cognitive Systems Engineer. Have you heard that term? Okay, you can write it down. It's called ergonomics. E-R-G-O-N-O-M-I-C-S. Ergonomics. Oh, let me give you a small example. Have you heard about this company called Swatch? Swatch, right? Have you heard about the company called Eurocopter? Copter is a helicopter manufacturing company. Okay? Now, let's just look at it. This helicopter manufacturing company wants a cognitive systems engineer. This job was not there in 2008. Now it's there. This cognitive systems engineer is an expert in psychology. He will understand how human will respond to situations, and he will also understand the automation part of the machinery. Talking about the aviation industry. So how will this equipment react to my action? So he will put thoughts in place and he will synchronize the mission to work with the human. So synchronizing the human behavior and response to the mission is the role where the cognitive systems engineer will work. And you know what's his pay? 1 crore 30 lakhs per month in Indian value. So I'm not saying not getting a job, but get a job, but get the job that fits you. Get the job with the requirements. Dream big, think big. That's all. Able to understand? There are a lot of things which is happening. Education is changing. What was there yesterday is not anymore today. Now let me give you a small example. How many of you know Sundar Pichai? Sundar Pichai. Okay, very good. What's your name? You know it? Yeah, somebody said that. Is it coming from mechanical? Wow, that's a nice. Who said that? You said that, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let me give you a mistake. What's your name?
And you come from what part?
Oh, EC. So what did Sundar Pichai say? And where does he come from?
He's from India and balance on the Google product.
So Sundar Pichai, unlike the way that his name sounds, is the VP. He's the senior VP, which is senior vice president of operations and sales and strategic marketing at the Google Incorporated. When I say Google, it's the #1 company today. Yeah? Yeah, they've cracked the revenue part of Apple and they got into #1 now. But how did they do it? Google was always behind Apple. You know that? 10 to 12 years they were just behind Apple. They could not come, even on the quality aspect. But as soon as Sundar Pichai was moved on to this role, they were making crazy money. The revenue just shot up. The product sales shot up. They made many innovative marketing strategies, but how did they come out that way? Any idea? Exactly. Who's that? Harish. Exactly. Very good. Let's give him one round of applause. Okay, so thank you. So what he did is, these guys, Google guys, they were so lost up in the world. They thought they have to compete with Apple. Apple has already established their brand. 2 out of 4 Americans have an Apple. You know that? They use one or some of the Apple. They might either use a Mac, they might use an iOS, or they might use Apple, or they might just use an iPad. Or some or the other way, 1 or 2 out of 4 Americans use an Apple product. So they were going in the wrong direction. They were producing good gadgets, technology-free gadgets, but the problem was they were hitting the wrong market. So this guy, Sundar Pichai, got onto the table and he said, you're going nowhere. If you go this way, then the company will not improve. And he came and he said, where do you have people? Where do you have the purchase power? Where? Sorry? Exactly. Where do you have brains? Sorry? Yeah. So I'm not talking about the dumb phones. Okay, I'm talking about smartphones. Though we are not so smart people, but we still want to use it, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So now everyone has a smartphone. So what's going to happen in the future is, we talked about credit and debit cards in 1997, I'm sorry. And now we're talking about credit and debit cards will be eradicated. You will just have your phones. That will become a transactional tool. Everything that you do in a small 8, 9, 7, 6, now even 28 screens, because everyone wants to have a phone like a tab. So big, they want to show off, I have a phone. So, whatever you do within that small screen, it is going to become a transaction for you. That's a transactional tool. You go to the shopping mall, you go to Big Bazaar, I'm talking about 5 years down the line. You don't have to wait to look for your debit or credit cards. All you have to do is go to the barcode scanner and just say yes, and the money goes out of your account directly. Because each and everyone will have, your phone will become a transactional tool. How? That's the debatable part. But now, you look at what Google, this guy Sundar Pichai had done. He understood that the market is in India. He understood that we can't sell any more phones to Americans because they already are using the sophisticated technology here. So then he changed the direction of the company. He said, let's be sensible, and I want you to be sensible. That's all I'm saying. Be sensible, what is required, how it has to be done, what is the right move, and then pushing the right buttons at the right time. That's required for studying abroad or studying in India. Pushing the right buttons at the right time. So what this guy did is, he understood that he has to somehow sell these gadgets in India, that he cannot directly sell it because he has a brand. He has positioned his brand in such a way. So he can't directly come and do it. So he tied up with one company called Nexus. And he kept that as the high quality gadget. You all agree? Yeah? Now he said, there is another market who cannot buy a 25K or a 30K product. So how will I attract that market? I remember Reliance guy selling 500 rupees antenna phones too. One you get, one free. And how much bills used to come? 30,000, 40,000. You remember? That gadget would have costed 500 rupees only. But you used to pay rental for the gadget, which was CDMA technology, and you used to pay about 30 to 40. He had insured all his technology gadgets. And what happened to him was he's getting a lot of profit. Nobody knows that. He declared as if that he has not got profit. But now this guy, what Sundar Pichai did is, he said, I want to, Nexus is for the smart guys. I mean, for the guys who can afford, the affordability range is there. The guys who cannot afford 25 or 30K, how will they get a smartphone? So he tied up to 3 companies. Can you name those companies? Indian makers. Not Motorola. Motorola is a US company. Who's that? Yeah. Okay, Micromax, what's your name? Mahalakshmi says Micromax. Very good. Not Nokia. Nokia is not an Indian company. Who says Carbon? Yes, they discussed with Samsung, but the price did not work out, and it's not an Indian maker. I said 3 Indian makers. Carbon, Micromax, one more. Who says Spice? Very good. Give them one round of applause. So these are the 3 Indian makers. Okay, Spice, you don't know it because they're not doing so good. But Micromax now and Micromax 2 years ago, yes or no? How many of you have Micromax? Yeah, that's an example. Yes or no? We've got Micromax boards now, we've got many other. But it's an Indian maker. The platform that they're using, the software that they're using is from? Exactly. Nobody knows this. But now what's happening is they make a lot of money. Able to understand? So what I'm trying to tell you is, so why are you giving me this example? I have that look on your faces now. Let me give you that example also now. The reason I'm telling you this is because one thing that we already established with ourselves is we'll have to connect our dots looking great. So we'll have to connect the dots looking backwards. Now, connecting the dots looking backwards, I gave you a name called Rayner's Pratt. I told you there's going to be a workforce crisis in 2020 to 2030. Yes? You all agree? So when this workforce crisis happens, you should not be a victim of it. Yes or no? You are educating yourself, you'll have to be in the right place. Yes or no? Now, I'm telling you an example of what has happened and how did they come here. Similarly, you will have to tune yourself in such a way that you will be in that place where it works for you well, where you will have your future health potential and your wealth potential. Able to understand? Okay, now I've not spoken much with the mechanical guys, so I want to deal with civil and mechanical. Guys, I don't know if you know this already, but what is the country that you'll have to go? If at all I give you an option, what is the country that you have to go? One more time? Sorry? Who says Dubai? That guy will leave. I'm not asking for an immigration market. Give me a job, I want to go to Dubai. I'm talking about educating yourself. Which country? One more time? Yes, it is right. So what is happening in the last 2 years, my sister is in Germany now, so I'll tell you how Germany works. In terms of studying abroad, Germany for civil, mechanical, wonderful place. Reason why? Mechanical guys, let me ask you a question. Do you know the difference between discrete production and process production? You have any idea? So don't ask me technical questions. Well, okay. I'll give you a small example. You know the milk factory? That is process production. Discrete production means automobile industry. So the silencer, the exterior of the car comes from Sriperambuttur. The interior of the car, the automation is from US. The engine is from Germany. it all combines together, they assemble it, and it becomes what? One part. And that's called discrete production. Assembling everything. Process means every day, monotonous, it has to go on. So the mechanical engineer who will structure these, the civil engineer who will structure these plans will need to have a different skill set. The person who will work in the process-oriented company will not fit into a discrete-oriented company. And the person who works in the discrete-oriented company cannot fit into the process-oriented company. Able to understand? The skill sets itself is different. So first you need to understand which are the companies, how you have to train yourself, how you have to adapt yourself. Germany. How much is required? How much money is required to go to Germany, by the way?
4 to 5 lakhs.
4 to 5 lakhs is very lesser side. I would say 8 lakhs. I would say 8 lakhs depending is the minimum requirement that you need to have. It can go up to 30 lakhs depending on the university that you're looking at. Able to understand? And the most important thing is in Germany, education is free. When I say education is free, there's a tag attached to it. Conditions apply. There is no tuition fees that you have to pay. That's all. Tuition fees means, in India, tuition na college na pro. Ange tuition na nahi padenge tuition. Able to understand? So you don't have to pay any tuition fees out of your pocket. You will just have to pay your semester end exam fees. Your semester fees, which is for 3 months once, quarterly fee. That fee is about 180 pounds or something. In that itself, you will have your public transportation pass. Which means if you're staying in Frankfurt, you can go all the way to Havals in just about 52 minutes with your pass. Able to understand? And with that pass, you can also have your midday meal, which is your afternoon meal at college. Able to understand? And the most important thing in Germany is the amount of experience and exposure that you will gain there. I don't know if you remember, Germans are always known as machines. So now it's changed. It's machines were actually working like Germans. There's not anymore the people there. There is a huge demand for Indian skilled people, especially mechanical and civil. Huge demand. And recently, A&I, ECE also has higher chances there. What is happening in this automobile industry is too much to dream of. See, I'm a big car freak. You know, let me ask how many of you know this. How many of you like cars here? I should have actually rephrased it this way. How many of you don't like cars here? Yes or no? This way, it's like going to the college and asking how many of you have Facebook accounts. The other way around is how many of you have ration cards. Yes or no? So, the thing is, what is happening in automobile industries now is completely a different aspect. The guy who will go as an engineer into automobile industry, you might have done your civil engineering in your basic, but still you can choose MS in electronical and automobile engineering, MS in industrial engineering. MS, you're talking about civil, there is so much to do. There is so much. So many MSs are there, where your interest in the inclination can be of. Able to understand? The guy who has done electronics, the guy who has done computer science, IT, need not be doing the same thing in their MS. You can do aviation and defense. Do you know that? Do you know this or not? You can do MS in aviation and defense. You need not do MS in computer science. You need not do MS in CS. You need not do MS in IT because you're studying BE also in the same. Able to understand? They need just an engineer. How they train is depending on their don't worry about it. Not just aviation defense, there are so many things. You talk about MS in ergonomics. I just told you about ergonomics. You can do that. There's many things that you can do. Do you know this? Let me ask this question. How many of you can take your major as physics and then your next interest subject as psychology in India? Physics and psychology. In India, can we do that? You can't. But if you go to NUS, if you go to any other international university, you can take quantum physics as your major and your sub as your subject as psychology. Which means these two are completely different subjects. You know that? Quantum physics is an applied science. Psychology is a different science altogether. It doesn't fit at all. But they want to check on a guy who can fit both. But that's how this subject has come. Able to understand? Now let's go ahead a little further. So breaking out of your shell, that's definitely there. These are the countries that you can definitely look at. Each country will have a qualifier, pre-qualifier. New Zealand is very good. There's a huge landscape. You can easily immigrate there. Okay, the reason that I am here is to help you understand there is something called as GRE. So what is GRE? How many of you have already done GRE? Already done GRE. Okay, how many of you know Princeton Review? You've come to a center and witnessed a center, you've been a part of it. Anybody knows Princeton Review already? You've already done your GRE coaching? You got the information. Where did you come? Another branch. So Princeton Review has 6 branches in Chennai. So we cater to the different aspects of the industry requirements. So he is come to us. Anybody else? Okay. So what we do is, unlike here, I wanted to volunteer. Any volunteer? Anybody who would like to come here? Volunteer. A volunteer is a guy or a girl who feels that I can come and stand in front of these people. Guts. That's a volunteer, which means out of self-interest. I don't want to sit back and relax. Anybody? Real quick, I don't have time. Okay, great. Let's give him one round of applause. Wonderful. So what's your name? Kadir. Now everybody's stressing their names with me so that I don't make a mistake. So Kadir is the volunteer now. So Kadir, what did you do to get an admission into this college? Be honest. Right thing.
And why you are
I know you will tell that. Now you tell the right thing. I mean, what did you do as a person?
I'm very honest. I came here by counseling.
Okay. He's got counseling. That's okay. But what did you do apart from the counseling?
Nothing.
Yeah, very good. Tell that one more thing.
Nothing.
One more time.
Nothing.
Okay. Give him one round of applause. So I'll tell you about my story. I studied in Kendriya Vidyalaya. You know Kendriya Vidyalaya? Okay. So my father was in defense. So one part of my education was in Kulu Manali. Then I was in Kumbigram, which was near to Silchar in Assam. Then I was in Bathinda. Then I was in Ernakulam. Then I came to Chennai. Then I went to Delhi. So when I went to Delhi, I asked my father, enough of this Kendriya Vidyalaya syllabus, I want to go somewhere else. So he somehow put me on DPS. You know what's DPS? Yeah. So I studied 1 year in Delhi Public School. You know what I did to get there? I did nothing. It's very, very tough to get to DPS. Very tough admission process. Close to about 1 lakh of them, they write their exams, only 10% profit they get there. It's very tough. So my father just gave a phone call and said, I am so and so calling from the Air Force Academy and my son is coming, just take care. So I got through. Simple. And I was not even at the eligibility band to get into DPS. Able to understand? I was the outstanding student. But unlike that, what did you do when you came for the admission here? I will tell you. You want to know? I will just make you remember on that part. You would have come along with your parents or your guardian. Yes or no? Somebody. So, your parent would have come, sat opposite to the principal or the admission officer, whoever it is, and they would have done the talking and you would have just stood like this. They would have said, En ponnu romba nalla ponnu, en paiyan romba nalla paiyan. And you would say, yes. Yes or no? Yeah? And they will show your mark sheets. They will show everything to them. Ma, open panama folder, ningli panikappa. Yes or no? You would have just stood there. Yes or no? Unfortunately, that will not work. You will not have a mouthpiece for you to, only you have to talk to get there to any of these universities. The process is very, very simplified there. It is only you and you. Nobody else will be your brand ambassador. Nobody will promote you. You will have to promote it. Able to understand? So the first thing is your GRE. So why GRE, by the way? What is GRE? Sorry? Yeah. I understand that it's graduate written examination, but what is it in GRE? What is asked in GRE? Okay, GRE is aptitude. Okay, what else? Psychometric. What else? Verbal. Okay. Okay, math. Okay. What else? Everything there. Aptitude, psychometric, verbal, math. What else? I will tell you what. GRE is not rocket science. GRE is your 6th standard to your 10th standard quant and verbal, not math and English. It's your 6th standard to your 10th standard what? Quant and verbal. That's all GRE is all about. So why GRE? A classroom of 100 size, state board, metric, CBSE, Anglo-Indian, some other Tukhlak syllabus also. Yes or no? Yeah, so many curriculums, so many cultures, so many upbringing, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, something else also. So many of you are here. Think about an international university, Nanyang Technical University. So many of them will come from so many syllabuses from so many countries. So don't you think there should be a common platform, a common entrance test? And that's called GRE, Graduate Written Examination. So what is it asked? I'll give you a small example, small question. Okay, question is a verbal question. Who's going to take this question? Any volunteer? Verbal question. Verbal, very easy, but not difficult. I won't give you the difficult part, so I'm not a bad guy. Easy question. Anybody ready? Yeah, okay, let me ask. Can I ask you? What's your name? Pratyusha. Okay, Pratyusha, I'm going to ask Pratyusha. Pratyusha, the question is, how are you doing? Option A, good. Option B, well. What do you say? Well? Okay, let's give her one round of applause. And that's the right answer. If you normally ask a person, how are you doing? The person will say what? Will he say well? You're not lying. If you ask someone, how are you doing? If you even ask me, how are you doing? I would say what? Good. So immediately that person will answer good only. But the actual answer is well. Because here in GRE, how it works is something which was taught to you in your 6th to 8th grade. Adjective, adverb, noun, pronoun, subject, verb, implement. Able to understand all that? So how GRE is structured is structured in terms of how it works in English. Able to understand? Yeah? Now math question. Who's good at math? Okay, I'll ask all of you. Is